All right. Hello and good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, good evening, depending on where in the world you might be tuning in from. The title of today's episode for our group here is Spiritual Practice for Turbulent Times, the Truth of Impermanence. And before I begin, I just want to give a huge thanks to Christina Rowe for really spearheading this amazing group of women who are world changers. And I feel honored and grateful to be here with you today. If you're tuning in, please do say hi. Let me know where you're joining from. I'm actually doing this through Zoom and into Facebook Live. So I'm sort of going between screens here. So I'll try to look on this in our group and see if I see anybody. But anyways, just want to give a little bit of an intro and then I'll introduce myself and then we'll hop into it. So we are, no surprise, everybody's been saying it, we are experiencing very anxiety producing, unpredictable, uncertain times right now. And it's my belief that we need more than ever right now to have regular spiritual practice. So really today's Facebook Live is for those of you who are feeling the impact of what's going on in the world
in your life. I know most of us that are here as part of this group already were on it had before all of this happened, we already had on the go nonstop lives that were cram packed. We had lots of irons in the fire already. So there was enough to deal with as it was, let alone this entire situation to be put on top of things. So really to the Facebook lives that I'm doing here, and I'm doing them once a week for several weeks. They're here. I'm doing this to help you to give you some practice, some spiritual practice to quell the impact of overwhelm, stress, and anxiety, both in the scope of your personal life and in the context of the bigger context of what's happening in today's world and all the global events. So like I like to say, if you find yourself asking, how do I stay involved in issues that really matter to me, both in my personal life and in the world without getting sucked into the hysteria and the fear, or how do I stay sane in an insane world, then stay tuned here. We're going to be together for about a half hour and do a little lesson, a little teaching on the truth of impermanence and a meditation that will be really, really helpful for you today. So just a quick bit about myself. My name is Lisa Engles-Witter. I'm the founder of Interstate Coaching. I've been a spiritual and personal growth coach for over 20 years. I've helped hundreds of clients to live stress-free, energy-filled lives so that they feel completely unstoppable, functioning on all cylinders, as I always say, not sitting in the shadows or on the sidelines of life, but really playing full out. And I work with women just like those of you here in this group who are, I like to say, graduating from spiritual adolescence and are moving into spiritual adulthood, perhaps seeking the next phase of their personal and spiritual growth. Excuse me. That's not coronavirus, by the way. My programs bring spiritual principles and practices into all aspects of life, including health, fitness, wellness, relationships, business, entrepreneurship. I'm a practitioner of yoga contemplative practices, have been studying and a practitioner for many, many years. So much of what I bring into the work that I do is informed by Eastern spiritual tradition, primarily Buddhism and yoga. So I do want to let you know that I have a Facebook group called Spiritual Practice for Turbulent Times. And you can just go to spiritualpracticeforturbulenttimes.com, and that'll take you directly to that group. You can check it out. If you like it, please do join. It's a group where the members can discover how to stay sane in this insane world through the power of a variety of spiritual practices. And I broadcast 2 to 3 times a week live practice sessions where group members can participate in those live or in replay. And they're really just, the group is meant to support members through these times, but also just in general to reclaim a balanced body, mind, and spirit. So once again, welcome and thank you for joining me today. I want to hop into the topic and the meditation that we're going to do together on this topic of impermanence. And like I said, my passion is really around moving from spiritual adolescence into spiritual adulthood. So the work that I do is a little bit more rigorous in terms of spiritual practice. So while I love and do affirmations and journaling and EFT tapping and all of that stuff, really my passion and what I bring to my clients and to the world is the more serious, rigorous study of some of these time-tested and true principles that have been around for 4,000 or 5,000 years and are actually very, very scientific. They're not as esoteric. They are esoteric, I won't lie, but they're not as inaccessible as many might think. They're very scientific. Like I said, there's a way to do things. And that's what I love about Buddhism and yoga, is that they are not, my teacher would say they're not religions. They're actually scientific means to attaining happiness in life. And so one principle that both Buddhism and yoga talk about all the time is this principle of impermanence. And impermanence is really this idea that everything in life has a life cycle. We all are born, we grow, we mature, we age, and then we die. And we can see that is true across all life, right? And all experience, from the plant kingdom to the animal kingdom to the human kingdom. That's true. But it's also true of situations and circumstances. It's true of our thoughts. And this is why what meditation brings us to understand is this concept of impermanence. And what I'd like to suggest is that right now, in these times that we're in, these really crazy, insane times that we're in, is that we are learning a profound lesson of impermanence. And as I mentioned, every life has a cycle. It's born, it grows, matures, it starts to age, and then it dies. And right now we're in some ways, in a in the death part phase of a cycle. We have loss of lives, we have loss of jobs, loss of income, loss of social systems in some ways, and we're probably looking, if we're being just real about it, loss of some governmental agencies. And this isn't a bad thing. This is a normal thing. When we understand that impermanence is a truth that we can't escape, and we accept that truth, we surrender to the truth, we can find some peace of mind, some calm in these crazy times, because we understand and we know that this is exactly how it's supposed to be. On the flip side of it, when we don't accept this truth of impermanence and we clench ourselves in fear, it causes a type of paralysis of the mind. And that paralysis of the mind, of course, the mind then freezes, and we can't think clearly, we can't focus, we make bad decisions. And I've been seeing a lot of conversations out there, especially here on Facebook, about that. People saying, oh my God, I'm trying to focus on my business. I'm trying to get things done, but I can't seem to focus. That's the paralysis part that we might not even be aware of, that we're unconscious, like why this is even happening. So when we accept and surrender to this truth, we can release the fear, that paralysis, knowing that this is a cycle. And there's going to be a new cycle that's beginning. We are at the end of a cycle in many ways, and there's going to be a new cycle that begins. And when we recognize this truth and we understand that we're also given free will, we're always choosing to either accept that truth of impermanence, that this is normal, this is how it is, or to resist that truth, to clench, to draw away, to have aversion to that truth. Then there's going to be different results from those two different responses to impermanence. So how we respond to impermanence will dictate our actions or our inactions. And those actions, depending on what they're based in, either fear and aversion or acceptance and surrender, are going to lead to actions that have consequences that either lead to inner peace and calm in the case of accepting and surrendering, or lead to pain and suffering in the case of fear, aversion, hysteria, all of that stuff. So the question is, which one will you choose, right? So with that as our setup for our practice today, we're going to go into, I guess we have about 15 minutes. Hopefully I might run over just a couple minutes on this, but we're going to go into about a 15-minute meditation here. And my recommendation is if you have the 15 minutes right now, do it, or come back and watch the replay here. And when you're setting up for your meditation, please do try to be in a chair that has a firm surface, not on your bed or on a couch where you can't maintain a straight spine. So that's the biggest thing, maintain a straight spine throughout your meditation. And with that, I'm going to take a little sip of water here before we begin. And I'll say hi really quick to Sabrina and Susan, who are tuning in or who left comments there. So here we go. So just taking a deep breath or two. And allowing yourself, giving yourself permission to let go of anything that doesn't serve you in this moment, anything that you might be bringing with you to this moment that doesn't serve you in this meditation, just giving yourself permission to let it go. And just allowing yourself to get settled and noticing the surface underneath you and all the different places where it meets the different parts of your body. And as you feel this support underneath you, just noticing where your breath is and noticing as you breathe in where your breath goes and as you breathe out where your breath goes. And just becoming aware of the ways in which your breath is almost like a bridge between your outer world and your inner world. And just allowing yourself with each breath to draw a bit closer to your inner world. And into that place where everything that you've ever known or sensed or felt or dreamed or imagined or experienced is recorded. And as you do, just giving yourself permission to sense or feel or imagine that as you breathe, you can draw in a deep sense of relaxation into your body. And just allowing yourself now to let all of your inner senses to begin to open quite widely. Your inner senses of sight and sound and touch. Allowing all those senses to open quite widely, and especially allowing your sixth sense to open. And as you do, just bringing attention to the area of your heart and beginning to see or sense or feel or imagine your breath is flowing in and out of your heart. And just slowing your breath down, finding a relaxed and comfortable rhythm, As you now focus on following your breath into the sacred space of your heart, just allowing your breath to lead you to a familiar place, perhaps a place in nature where you felt comfortable and at peace. And as you focus on this place, perhaps in nature, where you felt comfortable and at peace, just allow yourself to trust all of the impressions that you're receiving as you focus even more intently on this place, perhaps in nature where you felt comfortable and at peace. And as you do, taking a deep, slow breath, noticing the particular fragrance of this place and letting that smell bring you into even deeper contact with this place. And listening for any sounds and noticing the quality of the light and noticing perhaps if there's a breeze and noticing maybe for the first time in a really long time just how much you're a part of this place and allowing yourself to rest in this peaceful, safe, and relaxing connection. And now, just allowing yourself to imagine that you're holding a seed in your hand. It's a sunflower seed. And see or imagine that you're planting this seed into a garden bed and watering the seed, knowing that soon it's going to break ground as a tiny seedling. And now see or imagine that you can watch the entire life cycle of that seed as if you're watching a time-lapse movie right in front of you. The seed that you just planted breaks ground, it grows into a tall, beautiful sunflower, reaching its full bloom, and then begins to lose one petal, then two, and then all of its petal, and it begins to wilt, and then finally it dies. And notice as you witness the life cycle of this sunflower from a distance that you can maintain a feeling of equanimity, of neutrality, because you know that this is exactly how the cycle of life and death works, and that everything in life is impermanent. And now gently bringing your attention back to your breath once again, and noticing how peaceful and comfortable and safe you feel right now in this familiar place. And as you do, bringing your attention and awareness to a small animal that's in front of you, a small friendly animal, perhaps a cat or a dog or a rabbit or any other small animal that's friendly. And notice that as you look closer at this animal, that it's pregnant and about ready to give birth. And then see or imagine that you're watching the entire life cycle of that unborn baby animal as if you're watching a time-lapse movie right in front of you. That tiny animal is born, and then it grows into a mature adult, and then it begins to age and get old, and then it leaves its body, it passes away. And notice as you witness the life cycle of this friendly animal from a distance that you can maintain a feeling of equanimity, of neutrality, because you know that this is exactly how the cycle of life and death work, and that everything in life is impermanent. Plants are impermanent, animals are impermanent. Everything in life is impermanent. And now gently noticing your breath once again and how peaceful and comfortable you feel in this familiar place. And bringing your attention now to a woman who's pregnant in front of you. You notice that she's vibrant and she's healthy and she's about ready to give birth. And now as you see or imagine this woman in front of you, you can imagine that you're watching the entire life cycle of the child that she gives birth to, as if you're watching a time-lapse movie right in front of you. The child is born, he or she grows into a mature adult, and as happens, he or she begins to age and get old and eventually leaves his or her physical body. And notice as you witness the life cycle of this human being from a distance that you can maintain a feeling of equanimity and neutrality, because you know that this is exactly how the cycle of life and death work, and that everything in life is impermanent, from the plant kingdom to the animal kingdom to the human kingdom. It's all impermanent. And now gently, once again, noticing your breath and how peaceful and safe and comfortable you feel right now in this familiar place, and bringing your mind to a relationship, one that you had with someone at one time that you're no longer in. It could be any relationship. It could be a romantic relationship. It could be a work relationship. But it's a relationship that you once had that you're no longer in. And as you bring that to mind, see or imagine that you're watching the entire life cycle of that relationship, as if you're watching a time-lapse movie of it in front of you, and you see the beginning of the relationship and you watch the relationship as it grows and all the ups and downs and the entire cycle of the relationship, and then as it begins to come to an end. You can see the entire life cycle of that relationship. And notice as you witness the life cycle of this relationship from a distance that you can maintain a feeling of equanimity or neutrality, because you know that this is exactly how the cycle of life and death work, that everything in life is impermanent, whether it's the plant kingdom, the animal kingdom, the human kingdom, our relationships, everything in life is impermanent. And now, before we move on, just one more time, gently noticing your breath once again and how peaceful and comfortable you feel right now in this familiar place, and bringing to mind a circumstance, a situation or event that you were in at some point in your life. It could be a past job, it could be any relationship that, or any situation or circumstance or event that you found yourself in that you're no longer in right now. And now see or imagine that you're watching the entire life cycle of that situation or circumstance or event in front of you, as if you're watching a time-lapse movie. And you see the entire situation or circumstance unfold from beginning to end in front of you. And you notice how, as you witness the life cycle of this situation or circumstance from a distance, that you can maintain a feeling of equanimity and neutrality, because you know that this is exactly how the cycle of life and death work, that everything in life is impermanent, from plants to animals to humans to relationships to circumstances and events to thoughts to ideas to feelings. It's all impermanent. It all has a cycle of life and death. And now, just allow yourself to reflect on all the ways in which this cycle of life and death is happening in a multitude of ways all around you every day. All these cycles of impermanence happening simultaneously. Something is being born right now. New life is emerging right now. And at the same time, something is dying right now. And death is giving way to life, is giving way to death, is giving way to life. And just allow yourself to be witness to the ways in which you may have reacted to this inevitable truth with fear or contraction or resistance. And in those times, you reacted to the truth of impermanence with fear. Just witness, as you do from a distance, the actions that you took in those times. And just notice the ways in which those actions may have led to pain and suffering in your life, but that now you're more aware and conscious of this truth of impermanence, and that you can now choose and accept and surrender to impermanence. And that because you do, your actions lead to a deep sense of inner peace and calm, knowing that this is exactly how things are supposed to be. And just noticing your breath once again, and gently following your breath out of the sacred space of your heart, knowing that you can come back here at any time you wish, but for now, allowing yourself to follow your breath back out and allowing yourself to come back to the surface and back into the room or the space that you're in, perhaps wiggling your fingers or your toes, noticing the surface underneath you. And when you're ready in your own time, just coming back into the room and opening your eyes. All right, so that is our meditation on impermanence, and it's a meditation that can bring a lot of peace of mind and calm to us when we go through it. And I had a comment once recently. I did this meditation in my group, Spiritual Practice for Turbulent Times, which again, you're welcome to join. And someone was saying, it's hard for me to find that place of neutrality and equanimity. And yes, it is. That's why it's a practice. And that's why we do this meditation, is to practice equanimity, because when we are attached, or when we have attachment or aversion to people, places, situations, circumstances, thoughts, ideas, all these things, attachment and aversion are not equanimity. They're attachment and aversion. So what's beautiful about this meditation is that you're witnessing. You go into the observer mode and you can witness all these things without being attached. And it's a practice. But the more you practice it and have an understanding of impermanence and how it works in our lives, the more peace it will bring you. And just, I know we're running just a couple minutes over. I just want to plant a final thought for you around everything that we're going through right now in these crazy times with a lot of us being on lockdown and quarantine in our house. And really this coronavirus, what's happened. And so we can use this same concept with the coronavirus and look at where are we in the cycle of life and death in the coronavirus. I mean, we know that it's already been born, right? It's already out there. And I think that we're in the cycle of growth, but we're probably getting close to its peak level. So when you're aware of where we're at in this cycle of the exact circumstance that we're going through now with coronavirus, we know we probably likely are almost halfway. We don't know for sure, but you can evaluate where it's at in that cycle of life and death, knowing that it's going to come to an end, and choose to know that that is normal. That's the cycle of life and death. It's impermanent. It's going to, be gone, and then something else is going to rise up from it. So that's just one perspective and one way to look at it. And I know that some of you out there might also be dealing with a lot of fear and overwhelm and anxiety. This is a great way to start with this meditation. But if you feel like you're needing more support in this, please do private message me. I'm here for you. We can hop on a call with the intention of just helping you ground, get some clarity, and just know that I'm here for you and to help you. And there's two ways you can do that. One, if you want to join my Facebook group, Spiritual Practice for Turbulent Times, you can actually just go to spiritualpracticeforturbulenttimes.com. That'll take you there. I'll also put the link underneath this video. And if you feel like you want more help in getting through these crazy times, please do just private message me. And I'm going to put this link right in our group right now. And there we go. All right. Wonderful to be here with you all today. And I will be back next week. So keep your eyes out. I don't remember right off the top of my head what day it is. So bye for now, everyone. Thank you. Namaste.